guys, so today we're back, and today we're going to be showing you guys really good book. And basically, I feel like I've seen some YouTube, so I don't really know. Basically just took the inspiration from that, and I feel like I made it a bit better, and into this sandbox of Edge of Fate. Basically, what we have going on here is just something that does incredible output, and basically has like always ability uptime and stuff. So that's like worth a plus. We have like pretty good healing, incredible survivability, and great damage. So I'm gonna just show you on one of these guys over here. I'm gonna do a combat run, right? I'll basically show you what and now this is just normal, like, so combat range is just normal. It does really well in Grandmaster. Well, of course, I've been in Grandmaster yet, my power level is low. Basically, that's kind of like a real piece of it. So basically, there's no real like exotic weapon that you have Dragon's Breath on, but the two must-have, like, my suggestions are either Retrograde, which is pretty good, or you could have Bustle. You probably use this when dealing with something like a little bit tankier, right? And you can also use Defensive Flight or Retrograde in this case when you throw down both your grenade and your melee, and I'll get it more into that. But these are some pretty good things for this build. Now, what I probably recommend is any like solo weapon here with heal clip. That's really providing a lot of healing and stuff, because most of the fragment and stuff is not really too serious. This will give a lot of survivability. So I'm using the Yeartide Apex. I have a Yeartide Apex. I'm using the tier 4 version, and I have the Hollow Foil, and it has the roll of heal clip on it, and I also have Chaos Reshaped, so great survivability for that. And I'm of course using the Temporal Blast. It just makes going through everything so much easier. And for our exotic class item, now this is a pretty common exotic class item among the builds. It's the Inmost Light and Survivability. If you don't have it, recommend really getting it. Now, if you do not have this, I unfortunately just don't have any other alternatives, because this is just pretty much what you're gonna want for it. I haven't really explored any alternatives, but this is like what you want. Or any Inmost Light will work. Another good roll for the class item is Inmost Light and Verity, and then you can use Stasis in your kinetic slot. That probably worked out good too. So into our class setup, what we've got Silence of Skull Super because of its uptime. You know, it's pretty good. So you'll have constant super uptime with this. Since I have a super stat of 115, I have a pretty good super stat. Of course, Gambler's Dodge. I'm just whatever you want. And the two key abilities that we're going to use to build is going to be the Snare Bomb, because it weakens enemies when it's in like the smoke of Snare Bomb, and of course the Dust Field Grenade, which slows targets and freezes them if they're in it. And how these two basically work together, it basically would throw down like a Dust Field Grenade, right? And then you would throw down the smoke Snare Bomb as well, because that slowing targets as well as weakening. So that's how good that works. And plus, since you have Inmost Light, you're gonna once you're spamming these abilities in and out, you're gonna constantly have ability uptime on this, as well as you can use your Gambler's Dodge to get your Snare Bomb back. It's really great. You also have Gunpowder Gamble to feed into the Inmost Light loop, and Ascension to deal more damage, and it also procs Gambler's Dodge, so you'll, whenever you use Ascension, you'll get your Snare Bomb back. It's a pretty great loop. For our fragments, we have the Facet of Ruin for Stasis Crystal or frozen targets. Like whenever they shatter, they go much more shatter damage, as well as Solar Ignition, which will help our Gunpowder Gamble. And whenever we freeze enemies in our Dust Field Grenade, we're gonna be, doing a lot more damage when we shatter them with the Facet of Ruin. We also have the Facet of Dawn, which basically, whenever we throw our Smoke Bomb, we're gonna be Radiant, which will give us that barrier. We have Facet of Devotion, so whenever we like slow or freeze targets with our Dust Field Grenade, we're gonna be getting a lot of Transcendence energy for our light side of the bar. And then whenever we're damaging targets with Void abilities, which is our Snare Bomb, on targets afflicted with dark debuffs, it's gonna do more damage, so it's even better. And then of course we're gonna use Facet of Purpose to get some Frost Armor whenever we pick up an Overpower. And whenever we're throwing our grenade, we have perk of Spirit of Surturacne on. We're gonna be basically getting Woven Mail and Frost Armor. So great survivability right there. So I'm just gonna hop into real quick Master Fire Team Ops, and I'm gonna solo it and show you what this build can really do. So hang tight while I load it up, and I'll show you guys basically all. Basically, let's do this. And matchmaking, nah, we're gonna go customize. We're gonna keep it on master. We're gonna put some modifiers in, so it's on hard, right? Because I can't really take that many modifiers. So right now we're gonna be like 50 or 43 under level. So, that's pretty challenging, right? Especially because my power's so low. It's 287. I don't even know. Probably not gonna do that. I'm just playing for fun. Which is how you should play video games.
These scions as reluctant hostages to the Cabal Empire. But even now, with the Empire in ruins, they fight to the death for
Let's keep
Keitel.
going through this.
They're playing a bad hand as best they can.
No excuses. Eliminate them at will, Guardian.
going. What is this? I kinda don't wanna go through that. That's gonna set me back. Let's go here. We have 2 minutes. How have we not done any of the score? How are we getting this
If the Scions are allowed to continue their research, it could spell disaster for the Vanguard.
Yeah, too much clairvoyance and they might turn out like Osiris. Not sure how much of that we can take.
Challenge their commander. Bring this operation to a halt.
Yep, I got it. We got him to shield base. 77? Grind for 77, dude. Anyway, that kind of shows you guys. That's a pretty OP build. Like, that's not bad, I wouldn't say. Especially for solo. This is pretty good. So I'll have the entire thing on, and I'll put YouTube so you guys can check this out. Yeah, definitely like using some because it's pretty good. If you did enjoy this content, and if you think this build's great and enjoy this build, definitely make sure to like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see y'all